What up, guys? Thank you for joining. It has been a great week for risk on. I mean, we pretty much longed the bottom, well, not close, but took profit on the way up. I guess at 61 and a half, 61, 62K, give or take. And a lot of alts have rallied, and yeah, you can tell everyone's mood is much better, and things are going well, right? So today's program, we're gonna go over the macro. We're gonna go over some charts, BTC, ETH, Sol. We're gonna as well look at what's going on a little more into like the macro stuff, like specifically with the Mica, whatever they call it, regulated exchanges that are happening in Europe, and what else is going on. Let's look at some protocol revenues and chart some alts. You can put in the chat. I will look into those alts together and chart it and whatnot. But overall, it's been a great week. So yeah, let's look at it. So first things first, we had some numbers pop last week. I don't Let's see if we can put it up. Mhm. So first things first, we saw the job numbers. They came out on Tuesday, and then the Wednesday numbers as well with the ISM manufacturing and all that. And then we had the Thursday unemployment rate and on employment report and all of that. And we had as well the initial jobless claims and all of that bullshit that came in. All right, so let's talk about that for a second. So we were initially seeing, if you guys look here at the start of the week, we had a decent pullback come in. This was now we're looking here, yeah, and the market really started more going up after the job numbers came out. So what initially happened was the labor market finally bent, but it didn't bend in a clean way. People didn't find exactly jobs per se. They just kind of disappeared from the labor force, right? And so the inflation pressure is really is easing at the pump, but is not really fully inside the system. We saw like oil drop back toward pre-war levels, which ironically looks like, honestly, if this wasn't a chart, we'll probably be longing it right now. We saw the euro inflation cool down a bit, and we saw the US factory price pressure stayed high even as manufacturing kept expanding. So I think the main reason why we saw a rally is, well, one, the job numbers came out to be decent. Two, oil dropped. Three, the VIX even dropped, which is good. So all these things into consideration. As well, metals kind of consolidated a bit. But over here, when you look at gold, I think gold is kind of a long over here. You kind of, even though we filled this wick, we're probably gonna have somewhat of a bearish rally here on gold. We may reach like 4,500 um, before coming back down. But again, this is what people are paying attention to. The other thing people are not really paying attention to is the bond yields, which I keep mentioning, like keep an eye on them, keep an eye on them, keep an eye on them. So the 10-year and the 30-year still have not cooled down. And we are seeing, on Thursday, we saw the first pullback on USD JPY as well. You want to keep an eye on that. Whenever we see a pullback on USD JPY, we see the market go risk off instead of risk on, right? So keep an eye on these type of things, right, that are happening. The growth is still happening, which is good. If you are risk on, I think we should be risk on in the market for at least mid-July. Maybe the start of the week we see a pullback in the market, but I think right now if the structure is maintained on the lower time frame, like the 4 hour and the 12 hour, I think it's safe to bid those to go long on those pullback as long as the structure is maintained. And I think we're gonna go higher, especially if BTC closes the weekly green. The weekly close is today in 6 hours or so. And I'll talk about that. I think BTC is going to make a move to 70K and 70K, 75K ish type of move, and then we're gonna pull back, right? Um, well, after that move, we're probably gonna chop and then do the pullback. And I'll get to that as well when we go into the charting phase of things, right? But overall, you can the economy is still moving, but as today, it's moving more on thinner legs compared to before, and that's something we need to pay attention to. What else is happening? Like right now, when we talk about the equities rally, as I said, equities rallied, um, just because of the weak job report, which again, the reason why people got excited about it is it when the job numbers came out and they were fine, that means the probability of seeing a rate hike in July went down. So let's check the CME. What's the CME? Because remember, last week when we did the stream, I said we're not going to see a rate hike in July because the CME showed around 70-75% odds that we're not doing any rate hike or rate cut. So the CME, again, we're the same. So I'm on the boat that on July 29th for FOMC, we're not going to see a rate hike. And right now, they're only showing odds for rate hikes and pretty much no rate changes. All right. So that is why we saw kind of like the equities rally a bit and all that type of stuff is related to the job numbers, right? They were softer. The job numbers came in softer, and it more than likely is going to keep the Fed away from getting more aggressive. So I really wouldn't say this is a clean growth rally because overall the market went up because the economy looked softer, not because the economy looked better. We're still not out yet of the clear. We're still not out. But the good news is we're in the second half of the year. We're now officially in Q3. So we got Q3, we got Q4. We survived I would say almost or a little bit more than 50% of the bear market. And now we're in the second half of it. We just need to survive this last bit. Then the really good times for us is going to come. And when those good times come, you would want to be really risk on and preparing yourself as best as possible to make as much as you can, really. So what else happened? So we had, as you guys are seeing as well with the AI trade, the AI trade itself is still alive, but it's not like it's untouchable. Because now we're actually seeing companies come out and rehire people that they fired because they thought AI would replace them. So, for example, like Ford went and offered back the jobs back to their engineers and made a mistake and all that type of stuff. Meta is spending roughly on tokens, AI tokens, that's equivalent to 20,000 employees per year. So that's when they need to ask, like companies, big corps are asking themselves, is it better to have 20,000 employees or is it better to spend that on tokens? And obviously, the answer is to have more employees, really. A lot of companies now are trying to cut down on AI spending because they find that they're overspending on tokens and is not really yielding the results that they thought it would. So the advancement in AI is slowly, ironically, slowing down. Not that the tech is bad, the tech is phenomenal. It's just that we typically got overexcited, overstimulated about it, and now we're coming to the realization that this is great tech for to increasing our productivity, but it's not the tech that you need to replace people. And I think that's a good thing. If we lived in a what do you call it, in a mindset where everyone is going to lose their jobs because of AI, I think that's a serious problem because that would bring us close to UBI, and we don't want UBI. Like fuck. Once UBI is in the picture, kind of well, we become socialist. Two, um, achieving your goals becomes much harder. Being in a capitalist type of economy allows the risk takers to actually become something. The rags to riches type of stories happen in capitalist type of economies, not socialist type of economies. So we want to avoid being or going. We want to avoid going down the path of UBI, and that's why if you guys realize Jeff Bezos was the first trendsetter of this. I think back in June or May, I can't recall exactly, but he did talk about how you shouldn't be firing your employees. In fact, because of AI, you should be hiring more people. And he stood by that. He stood by his thesis. That's why he is where he is today. And he actually is hiring 15,000 more people for Amazon, and he saw the vision of it before the other companies did, and now everyone is following suit. So hats off to him for seeing that. This is the type of guy that okay, uh, uh, this is the best analogy I can give. Jeff Bezos saw a nuclear bomb dropping, and he said, "Fuck it, I'm going to bid more." And if we die, we die. Either way. I'm losing everything if the nuclear bomb goes off, so I might as well bid. And if I'm right, I'm gonna make a ton of money. And that's exactly what he fucking did. And he ended up being right. And I'm glad that he's right because that opens up a better future for us down the line. Um, but yeah, let's talk about crypto now and what happened in crypto. Crypto rallied during the Q3 open, which I kind of like expected. I mean, we were like, shit was getting really, really intense. I didn't expect us to just continue. Um, Let me open it up right here. All right. I don't, I didn't expect us to just keep going, but this type of candle close it's not great. It's not great. That was a pretty ugly Q3 candle close. I do think we're gonna go lower, but I think it's not gonna be easy as people think it is. So I'll get to that in a bit. The other thing, um, what else is happening? The in crypto in terms of infrastructure, there's still a lot of stable coin talk going on, especially around Tether, the UK, and the stablecoin capital rules, and it's being very like very very they're trying to force Tether to kind of open up more to their economy, and Tether's like, you know what, fuck this. So they kind of removed themselves from the UK for the time being. There was supposed to be some new stablecoin project, but then you had some companies, take themselves out of it. Like, I don't know why we were included in it in the first place. And I think one of them was Samsung. Then you saw Robinhood expand their perps in Europe and launch their own chain, their own layer two. They're partnering up with Lighter to launch their own perps, and they're actually going to bring tokenized stocks into crypto. And I think if there's anyone that's going to bring tokenized stocks and liquidity into crypto, there's actually no one better than Robinhood. Like as much as other people talk about Solana doing it or Hyperliquid doing it and all that type of stuff, I in my opinion, there's no better company to bring tokenized stocks to us than Robinhood. And that's not a Robinhood shill, but I think that's the one that people are gonna trust the most, in my opinion, because it's been like a few cycles where many people were able to show off their Robinhood holdings for the stocks that they bought, like GameStop and whatnot, and all that kind of stuff. Now, the cool thing is they launched their L2 on Ethereum. And I think I mentioned last week to you guys that the infrastructure and the building and everything that happens, all the big players and everything, I still like you need to ask yourself this question. Why are why are the biggest companies in traditional finance building on Ethereum, whether it's their own chain or not, but nowhere else? Why aren't they building on Solana? I'm just curious. Like, why aren't they building on Solana? Why is everyone like BlackRock, Robinhood, and whatnot always focused on building on ETH instead? So you need to wonder, do they know something that public doesn't know? Or did they do a fundamental study and decided that fundamentally speaking, tech wise, tech security and all that stuff, uh, ETH is better for them in the long term? And overall, I believe Robinhood's layer two is the fastest layer two right now. So that's something to think about. What else? So in terms of the Mika thing, I pulled out for you guys to I pulled this out for you guys. You can look at it, see which one has a regulator. The one thing that I found to be interesting was OKX and crypto.com and Gate all use Melta, and ironically, you guys see here who do you not see? You don't see Binance. Like we know that they're having issues with public and they might not get their license, but here's the irony, and this is why I wanted to point this out. Here's the very ironic part is that before Binance moved their headquarters to Dubai, I believe their headquarters was in Malta. And the fact that they don't have the license from Malta should tell you something. And you have the ex CFO of Binance coming out talking about 1010 being caused by Binance and the whole situation, the whole big drop and everything that was caused by Binance. And it's all coming to light slowly, slowly. Um, Now they're talking about lawsuits again and all these kind of things happening. And I did mention to you guys in October and November that this is happening more underground. You got market makers, you got quant traders, you got Asian VCs, and all this stuff all teaming up together, and they're pretty much opening up a lawsuit against Binance for what happened on 1010, right? And you got the ex CFO talking about them in a negative way, all publicly on Twitter or X, and you got Star, who is the CEO of OKX, actually retweeting all this stuff, telling you guys like, hey, Binance was actually the company that fucked us all over on 1010. And this is the reason why Europe is not giving them a license to operate anymore. That's his reason. That's what he said. You don't need to quote me on it. So that could be the reason why Binance is no longer welcomed in Europe, even though they did have a headquarters in Malta before they moved to Dubai, which is pretty ironic and should tell you. The thing about the market is you need to read between the lines about these things. When there's smoke, there's fire, and it's the same thing with Pump Fund and Solana. There's smoke with the lawsuit that was submitted. It was submitted, I think, last year, and it was a former developer of Pump Fund. He opened a class action lawsuit against Pump Fund, Solana, and Jito. Only Jito right now got out of it and didn't have to pay settlement to the victims. But apparently, there's a lot of chat logs in there that was submitted that is not great for Solana or Pump Fund, because when the judge kind of looked at the evidence, he didn't like close the case. He said, "Hold on, let's see what's going on here," and all that kind of thing. So you guys need to keep an eye on what's happening over there. But yeah, it comes at a very strange time because we're seeing because Solana does look good on the chart. A lot of things look good on the chart. Solana does look better than ETH and BTC on the charts. So it could be this is all kind of like a coincidence. But let's look at some metrics, because here's my theory. Right now we see we're seeing the whole like Ansem, the Black Bull meme coin pumping. A lot of people talking about the liquidity pool and whatnot. But at the same time, I don't think people like, let's look at Polymarket, Kalshi, um, what else? Let's look at Pump Fund. Okay. What else? Metrics, perps. I want to see perp. Aggregated. Mm-mm. I, no. Fees paid. No. All right. Let's look at Hyperliquid instead. Keep it simple. Where is their price? I'm trying to find their perps. Anyways, let's look at Kalshi for a second here. Their volume is insane. Let's look at month to month, right? Their volume is actually insane. Now, in the last month, World Cup month, they saw 32 billion in volume. Their volume is just increasing insane. 17 billion in May. Already in July, and it's only been 5 days. Well, they have now 4 days worth of data, but in 4 days, they have done 4.6 billion in volume. This is Kalshi. This is just Kalshi. This is not Polymarket. And this is like, again, prediction markets and all that type of stuff. And then when we look here at Polymarket month to month, they're even like their volume is less than Kalshi, which I don't know how that happened, because Polymarket has way more marketing. You see it everywhere, but everyone seems to be trading more in Kalshi. So they're regular, like they're at the start of the month they did 1.27 billion. They're doing roughly about, I want to say, between 7 to 10 billion a month in volume, and as well they've been having steady growth. When you look at Pump Fund month to month, their best volume was 11.6 billion, and it's just been shrinking. Like, this is why CT is one big echo chamber, and you need to actually take yourself out of it and see what is actually happening. They just ran the biggest campaign, on-chain campaign, I think we've ever seen of all time, and their volume is nowhere near the all-time high. It's like it didn't even like in the first 4 days they have had 241 million of volume, right? And that's as well based on what they're doing with like Ansem and whatnot. Like it's crazy because the tactic actually works. Like it's a pretty genius play. I'll give them that. That was a pretty genius play. You got under not like it was right, and everyone is just waiting of how a lot of people are waiting to see how it plays out. The issue is more likely going to play out the way people expected, which is eventually is going to dip really hard. A lot of people bought it because they know they're gonna take advantage of the situation, take advantage of the attention and all that stuff that's happening, which is great. You want to do that. They may even push it to 1 billion. I mean, all the forces are there behind it. I mean, you got the Solana Foundation changing their PFPs. You got the Pump Fund team. They got a whole fucking chain behind this marketing campaign, right? They got a whole fucking chain, the whole protocol, everyone behind this marketing campaign. The issue is, and I said to you guys, they're seeing for the first time that it's not actually the smartest idea to only advertise on CT, because CT is a very negative type of community now, especially when everyone's losing money. And the problem with CT is everyone wants, when they're making money, they just want to go around calling people shit. That's why you're seeing more and more creators actually expand outside of CT, going to TikTok, going to Instagram, going to all that stuff. Because look at what Polymarket and Kalshi are doing, and believe me, the majority of their marketing is on TikTok and Instagram. That says more about X than it does about CT. So effectively, when it comes to like gambling, because Pump Fund is gambling. This is gambling. You're trading on-chain stuff is gambling. Um, it's more effective for them to advertise on TikTok and Instagram. That's why you're gonna see more and more people shift towards there. Now, in terms of perps, I'm trying to find perp volume. Perp volume. Um, like perps will do 11 billion volume a day, right? You gotta understand, perps at its peak on 10/10, the month of October, did 1.36 trillion in volume. So ultimately, especially with the movement with AI, you're gonna see more and more people shift towards perps and prediction marketing and prediction not marketing prediction markets for like sports betting and whatnot, because there's always sports events to bet on. That's the thing, there's always sports events, political events, there's always some type of event to bet on. And I think that shift is going to happen. In fact, I don't really see pump funds volume coming back to what it was until they stop the vamping, right? So, and back in my day, when it came to on-chain trading, you didn't actually listen to what the influencer said. The influencer was actually looking where the crowd was moving. What were the people buying? So the power was actually get more on the small guy, and they were more incentivized to hold than anything. It was pretty crazy. I found it to be crazy because we when we were trading memes on ETH, the gas fees were so fucking high that you had to buy something that you really believed in, and you were pretty much forced to bag hold and believe in what you bought, so you don't have to pay the gas fees again until you made an insane amount of profit. And when more like that's what made Shiba. That's what made a lot of ETH meme coins so fucking great. That's why ETH meme coins still outperformed Solana meme coins last cycle. Like the top meme coin on Solana reached 4 billion market cap, while Pepe reached 10 billion market cap, right? How many meme coins were launched on ETH last cycle compared to Solana, and everyone kept pushing it, but at the same time, ETH meme coins just outperformed. Like you saw Mog uh reach almost close to Popcat's market cap with way less fucking advertising or marketing that Popcat did. So it's not to say anything bad about Solana or anything. It's just like I'm more aware of the market participants on both chains. Now a lot of the ETH meme coins have moved on to Base and created liquidity pools, so the gas fees are not an issue, and that happened last year. So now, for me in particular, I prefer buying ETH meme coins because they hold. People hold. You know, people keep buying, keep buying, keep buying, keep buying, and once the like ETH participants believe in a meme coin, that shit fucking soars. It fucking soars so fucking hard that you don't actually get an entry. You don't get a pullback. You don't get be like, yo, what the fuck? I missed, like, you know what I mean? Like we saw it with Asteroid, for example. You'll see it, you'll keep seeing it time and time and time again. So yeah, in my humble opinion, I think this meta that we're seeing right now is going to die down by the end of this month to mid-August, and I don't think it's going to last past the summer. I think in the summer, after the summer, is when we will see the real outcome of this whole situation unfold. But for me in particular, I'm not gonna buy a bag uh, based on a celebrity or an influencer or anything like that. We've seen that so many fucking times, and it didn't really work. I mean, you even got TJR on it, and it still didn't hit a billion. Like, I don't want to touch that. I want to keep my money. This is right now the time to reserve, like, protect your capital and not go fully risk on retard mode. You gotta understand that. All right. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that because I still think that I know we're seeing a lot of on-chain stuff happen, but the most important thing is on-chain pumps every summer. So this is no different. There's always a summer on-chain meta. Just go back to 2021, sorry. You can map out every single year what happened in the summertime, and it was always on chain. And I'll remind you, 2021 was Axie Infinity summer. You can go from there and check it out every summer. All right. So this summer, our on-chain meta was Ansem, the Black Bull, and whatnot. And honestly, this was a great um, marketing by the Solana team. Honestly, very great marketing. But yeah, let's look at some charts. Let's see what's happening here. Give me a second. We're gonna work our way. So, what do we have here? Right now, right now, we have the weekly on BTC printing a double bull divergence. This is a pretty strong signal, not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I'm gonna ignore this bull divergence, right? So we have a double bull divergence on the weekly. And more, unless we get some insane fucking candles in the next 5 hours and 20 minutes that'll take us down to like 59K. This is more than likely gonna close green and print this bull divergence. We're going to And I think I drew this chart for you guys in the chat. Let me see here. From here. Okay. I think we're gonna go somewhere not even that high potentially here. Maybe 76K, pull back, weak rally, and then we return to the base. You guys remember mid August to mid September is ghost month, and it's always return to the base. So right now, this is the base, right? This has happened every single year, where in ghost month we return to a base, right? So I think we're going to have more of a rally from here until the ghost month into the 70s, and then we chop back down and then actually crash back to the base. Now from mid-September, I think we're going to actually build the move down to 45K and have the final leg down. I'll say something. This has been the strangest bear market ever. Like in my experience, this has been the strangest bear market ever. It hasn't been that straightforward or anything like that. And I'll explain why. Because in typical fashion, this would have been pretty much a bottom. Like a really high time frame bottom on BTC. Okay? This bull dev would have been likely a bottom. So this is why it's very, very interesting that we're printing this right now in July. Market has never ever bottomed in the summer, and the BTC movement actually followed the 4-year cycle. So did ETH. It followed the 4-year cycle. We were a little taken aback by the altcoins price action and all that type of stuff because of the way they performed. But in general, I would like to say that the majority of the part followed the 4-year cycle, especially BTC. So this is why I'm still on the boat that we're gonna go lower, right? But this is a very, very strong bull dev. But you guys know my rule. This is part of the reason why I think we're gonna go lower. So this, in my opinion, is going to be more of a bearish rally. All right, I still think we're in the boat of a bearish rally. And again, over here at the bottom when we broke 58K briefly, there was a lot of running around, celebrating for the bears and all that type of stuff. So I think a lower high type of move would make sense for BTC, because we're still moving this market structure. Well, we're still building this market structure, right? So I think a lower high move, then lower around here, possibly we could bottom out. It really depends on how badly Sailor fucks up too. Yeah, that's the other thing. We don't know how badly Sailor is gonna fuck up, but we do know now he's gonna try to save his ass from now up until mid-August, right? So now is the time for him to try to save his ass. But yeah, this is what I really wanted to point out on the weekly. We are currently trying to close above the 200 moving average on the weekly, and a move to see 75, like in the 70s, would still be a bearish rally until we get above a certain level. But again, on the monthly, we filled the wick, we closed below the 50 EMA, we lost the support level, and we're pretty much following what we saw here. And look, in August, last bear market, it was a return to the base, and we went lower after that, right? So we have that happening on the monthly and the weekly. So how does this look on the charts? Where do we want to pay attention to? All right. I think at the start of the week we may have a pullback, but I think that's the type of pullback you want to bid. So let's look here on the 4-hour. I want to see a pullback around here, kind of not go below, well, not close below 61K. So we want to maintain the structure right here. The 50 MA on the 4-hour is the final line in the sand. If we close below the 50 MA, that's your sign like, hey, that was pretty much it. We're probably going to revisit these lows again, like go break 50K. But ultimately, if the 50 EMA and the 34 EMA and this point of breakdown and whatnot holds, then we should be good to continue higher. So this is where I would put the 4-hour. As long as this holds right here on the 4-hour, it will be honestly a great, what the fuck, bid, in my opinion. Let's see the 12-hour, where did I don't have a 12. Let me just use this. 12-hour. We still need to get above here. 64K and a half. So this is why my original post that I made at the bottom was targeting 64K. Now, I've already taken profit. I'm happy that I took profit. I'm waiting for the pullback. If we get a pullback, I'll add to my long and take it up to the 12-hour and TP some more. If not, if we go to the 12-hour, I will probably close the rest of it and wait for the pullback and long from there, right? So in general, that's my plan, right? BTC plan. But I think we're going to have more than likely a pullback from here, and it'll be honestly, as I said, guys, if we still maintain the 61.2K structure, I think we'll be fine. And when I look at the 12-hour, this is where we really want to get above. And pull my EMAs and MAs. So again, if we do pull back to the 4-hour level, we'll still be, like you see, when I look at the 12-hour, we got above the 1321.34, which I do look at for trends, right? We're now above it. We're struggling between the 50. If we pull back here on the 12-hour and we respect the 1321.34, then we are good to go higher, right? And ultimately, where I'm looking at is the daily. The daily is what I'm looking really at is the same level, I believe, as last week. A little bit here. We want to get above the 50s and this point of breakdown. All right. So it's more on the line of 66.6K. I really want to get above this on the daily. This is where we got the 50s, number one. And at the moment, this is where our top of the range is. If we get above it and close, we will be printing a higher high, right? Over here. Not necessarily a big higher high. We're just looking at this structure right here. And that could signal a move to the next level, which would be the 70s. So 66K is where we need actually to get above to actually go into the 70s, which will be right here. 71.5K, give or take. We tried to hold it as support. 70.6K, right? And that's as well where I'm aiming for on the 3-day. Should I put that? Oh, it's in black. All right. And as well, that lines up with the 50s and the 34 moving averages on the 3-day. Ultimately, the weekly still the same, 82.5. We need to get above it. We need to print a higher high. But because if we get above this weekly level, one, we would get and we close above it like 82.5. One, we're above the 34 EMA, we're above the 50 EMA, we're above the 200s and the 300s and all that. That's when we start seeing a higher time frame shift into a full blown out trend, right? Over here. So if we can get a weekly above here, we could actually, that's when I'm going to entertain the idea of a new all-time high. That's when I will entertain the idea of even reaching 100K, right? Is when we get the weekly close above 82.5. When we print the higher high, when we get above the 34, when we get above the 50. But at the same time, there's no point in like jumping the gun and like dancing and all that type of shit and be like, this is the bottom, this is the bottom, when perps is still running the price. Like we're looking here, this whole move, by the way, has been fully perps because we still look at the ETF. We saw a blimp of green. I had said to you guys, the majority of the summer is going to be red with blimps of green. All right. And the people that bought was not BlackRock. Okay. They were, and the only time we actually rallied is when the American market was closed. When the burgers were off, when the institutions were off. That's when we saw a rally. Okay. Now the other thing, let's look at the funding rate. Funding rate is still strongly positive. All right. So this is desperate. In my opinion, is desperation. In my opinion, is like people like longing every dip, every dip, every dip. I get it. You, it's actually, and I explained it to you guys last year that even on the way down, after a big flush, if you just wait and long those dips little by and compound those gains, it's way better than shorting, because the smallest green candle you see will be like a 20-30% move instead of trying to hold a fucking 90% drawdown. And if you keep longing those smaller moves, you would make more than just shorting one fucking thing for a whole year. You know what I mean? Like people that longed this and then longed this and gonna long this will probably make more than the guy that just fucking shorted the top and is sitting there, right? That yeah, and I'm talking about perp traders, lower time frame traders type of thing. Some people have shorts open from the top on one account while trading these longs on another account, which is very, very smart. Very, very smart. That's actually something I should have done myself, where I would have had two accounts open, one with a giga short near the top, and another just for scalping little small long opportunities. All right. So when you look at the bigger picture here for BTC, even the 12-hour level kind of lines up with the 4-hour 200 EMA. You got the daily level matching up with the 300 MA on the 4-hour. So if we can get above the 200 EMA on the 4-hour and comfortably reclaim it, we probably will fill up this whole gap to the daily resistance level, which will be 66K. This is the level that everyone is paying attention to. Now, when I remove the EMAs and whatnot, so you can see better, you can understand why everyone's looking at 66K. Right? I do think if still again, if we get a pullback here, I'll be looking to compound and ride it to over here. Between I gotta get this pen moving. So I want a bid here to go here. But if we reclaim this, I'll just keep my long and close it out in between here and then wait for the pullback and see what happens. Because if the structure is maintained on the pullback, we're good to go. It's very simple. You don't want to overcomplicate it. Very simple. All right. That's for BTC. Let's look at some ETH levels. Okay, let me see if I. ETH is reclaimed the 200 EMA. So alts ultimately do look better than what do you call it? BTC. And I don't know if you guys been paying attention to the scans, but it has been showing that BTC dominance has been going down. So let me see if I can pull it out here. Yep. So this is another reason why alts are rallying. You got BTC dominance pretty much in a bear market. All right. So let's look at some levels. You see here we charted this, we broke out of it. And as soon as we broke out, we passed the 12-hour level. This is recapping what happened last week. So we marked this 4-hour level. If you longed the close over here, see, we closed above it. This was Wednesday, July 1st. The pullback, which was 1600, and you longed it, you could have went straight to the 200 EMA and closed down the 4-hour resistance if you really wanted to. We talked about this last week. This was the plan. So now here's the irony. Move the 12, and then move this. Now the 12-hour became the 4-hour support. We want to maintain 1720. Okay, and what last week, what was our 4-hour resistance became our 12-hour support. See here? We were here last week. And this was the 4-hour resistance. Now that we broke up, now we have a 4-hour support. We have a 12-hour support that we need to maintain. This is the structure. So if ETH pulls back here, you want to look at the 4-hour, 1 hour. So if we get a clean pullback here at 1720, give or take, you may want to bid that. And if we start trading below it on the 4 hour and closing below it, you may want to get out and wait for 1620. But if you didn't risk much and you're trying to scale, it's okay to scale your bids around here. At the same time, the daily resistance did not really change. We're still right there. We're at the cusp of it, right? So I feel like ETH may break the 1800 mark again, and we're gonna see possibly ETH reach $2,000 again. Now the weekly level didn't change, the 3-day level didn't really change. It's more about, okay, if ETH breaks 1800s on the daily, you're probably gonna get a move to the 2000s again. So pay attention to these levels, okay? So I'm gonna go down to the 4-hour chart. Oh, wrong. There we go. By the way, want me to show you guys something? We just did this. Look where the daily resistance is on the 4-hour chart, 300 MA. Look where the daily resistance is on ETH 4-hour, 300 MA. Right? So this is where you need to pay attention to. We are at the resistance level at the moment for BTC, well, for ETH. So if we claim it, the pullback is a very clean long. If you pull back to a 4-hour to the 200 MA and still holds and whatnot, you want to bid it. I think ETH is a bid unless we start breaking 1620. I think we're going to build a move possibly to $2,000 and we'll take it from there. This is what I think is more than likely happening, unless that's if we maintain the structure, that's if we close above the daily resistance, that's if the 4-hour support and 12-hour support levels, these two levels maintain. And yeah, we should be on a good boat. But at the moment, ETH did reclaim the 34 EMA and it's finding resistance on the 50 daily. So a pullback, as I said, a pullback is a bid as long as the structure is not broken. All right. Let's look at Sol. Sol, see, looks better. Already reclaimed the 50s. And I've been telling you guys way before they did the KOL campaign that Sol is looking better than ETH chart wise. And it did. It's outperforming right now. It's outperforming. So now let's look. Where does Sol need to maintain? What does Sol need to maintain at the moment? Okay, let's look at what levels we recapped last week. Let's look at the 4-hour. Look at where we are. This was the around here. Pretty much went straight to the daily resistance, pulled back, we broke up, hit the 3-day resistance, and now we look like we're gonna pull back. Now, what level should we be looking at? Let me remove the daily, then remove, well, keep the 3-day. The 3-day didn't really change. This is the same level we need to clear, and that's what will set us up for a move into the hundreds. Do I think we're gonna go to 150? No, I don't. We're probably gonna go to the 200s on the weekly for the time being. That would make sense. And the funny part is when we get to the 200s, a lot of people are gonna rub it in your face, say that you missed the bottom. Keep that in mind. They're gonna rub it in your face that you missed the bottom, right? But right now, there is a lot of bull divergences. So what do we need to, what do we need? Let's look at the 4 hour and build the levels from there. One, we need the 200s to hold. That's the main point. But I think even then, you don't want to have the first pulled back straight into the 200. So if you want to have a clean trend, okay, let me remove some EMAs and I'll explain some things to you guys. Let me move the 300, let me move this 200, let me move the 100 and this 200, then the 89. The only thing I'm keeping for you guys right now is the 13, 21, 34, and 50 EMA with the 20 moving average and the 50 moving average. All right. So when you start a trend, the first pullback, allow it to be, okay, to the compression. Okay. Over here, allow it to be coming and close. Okay, we retested the 21, 34, 20, all that stuff, but we still closed on the 13, right? Now we're closing, we retested and we're closing above the 21, maintaining it, but struggling with the 13, but and all that type of stuff. But ultimately, if we get a pullback to the 50, it'll be clean. We're still maintaining the structure. We can build a move to here, right? So what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to EMAs, when it comes to trends, what I like to see is, let's just pretend this is these are the fastest EMAs, right? On the first pullback, let it hit the 13. On the second pullback, let it hit the 21.34. On the third pullback, let it hit the 50s. On the fourth pullback, let it hit the 189. On the fifth pullback, let it hit the 200s. And with every pullback, it keeps going up higher and higher and higher. That creates what you call a clean trend. But if we're still early in the trend and we pull back to the 200s immediately, that's not very clean. So let me try to give you guys an example here. Like this move here. Okay. This was, let me see, more daily. Let's go daily. Let's clean on the daily. Okay. Let's just use this. And move the 300 for you guys. I really want to show you guys. Okay, here's a perfect example. Let's look at this. Here's the market bottom, 22 bucks. We break. We retest the 13 on the way up. We retest the 21 and the 20 on the way up again. There's the second pullback. Then we retest the 34. And then we came to the 50s for the bullish pullback. You guys see here. And then we did the final rally to 200 and 210. This was 2024 March. Then we had the giga bullish compression pullback. That's when we retested the hundreds, the 89 and the 200s and whatnot, and we compressed for the final leg up. This is when you know the trend is entering the final leg. When we are retesting the 200s and the hundreds, that's when you know, okay, the trend is not parabolic like here, right? So this is why I'm saying now I don't want to see us test the 200s immediately. Even though it'll be a clean SNR flip, yes, but not right away. Don't give us the retest right away if you really want us to go up higher, right? So let us hit the 50s. That is fine. As I showed you guys on the daily chart, retesting the 50s is fine. So that's why I'm putting the 4 hour there, not here, not at 75 or below. I'm putting it at 77 to 78 at the 50s mark. That's ultimately what I want to see the 4 hour hold. Now, in terms of the 12 hour, We're right on the 200. We're trying to reclaim it. Let me put the 300 and the 300. So seeing a pullback to 78 would maintain the 12-hour structure and the 1321.34 structure that I like to bid. But yeah, ultimately, um, what you want to see is okay on the 4 hour. On sorry, not the 4 hour. On the 12 hour, I have this. Hold me. Now let's go to the 4 hour. The final resort is the 200s, the 300s on the 4 hour because that's the 12-hour level I want to see. All right, that's the 12-hour you want to see hold because this retest, okay, is the SNR flip, is the 34, is the 50, right on the 12-hour. I keep saying 4, but that's where it is, right here. On the daily, on daily, we already broke it. I showed you guys. We broke the level that we're looking at. Now we came straight here. Right here. See that? Twin Towers. So we're gonna pull back and we filled the wick. We came back. This is why I'm still on the boat that this is a bearish rally of some sort. But ultimately, we don't want to see, okay, if you want to see a somewhat of a bullish structure, this is the low, this is the higher low. We don't want to go below this low. We want to print another higher low, right? We're printing higher high. So if we're gonna pull back somewhere, it should be like 69, right? And if the 69 holds, we have another higher low print, which will give us some hope on the daily that okay, this can go somewhere, right? And again, we filled the wick, we went down below it. This is more, in my opinion, still a bearish rally. All right. The 3 day level it still hasn't changed much. This is where I would put the resistance level. Like, look, it's still at 34 and whatnot, still struggling at the 50s. The weekly doesn't change, so all of that is still the same. All of that is still the same. But ultimately, Soul does look better than the rest, right? I mean, if Soul, you gotta think about it this way: if Soul Foundation is going to spend money on marketing to pump their token and pump their ecosystem, you should ride it out, make as much as you can, but get the fuck out while the door is still wide open for you to get out. Don't get out when the door starts shrinking, right? Because we know how that goes, right? We've seen that story many, many times. The door looks wide open, you go to sleep, you wake up, and boom, your meme coin is down 99%, and you get out for a major big loss. All right. So that's my ETH, Sol, and BTC levels. Again, if you guys have any coins you want me to chart, put in the chat, and yeah, we'll look into it. But again, I wanted to bring this up to you guys. Look at this. All right. This is what lighter is what we should be bidding. Lighter is what we should be bidding. The scanner has been showing us lighter as a bid for a very long, all of June. All of June, it has been showing us like, hey, get into lighter, get into lighter, get into lighter. Look at that. All right. It is a beautiful daily chart. It looks like it's going to go for all-time high now. Give or take, I think we're gonna hit the $3 mark. So if we get a nice pullback, I think you should bid it. We had the 200 EMA pullback, which was great. I think we're entering the final leg of the move, so we should honestly look to catch some type of move out of it. But yeah, lighter looks pretty damn good right now. Let me look at Tau for you. Yeah, see, Tau still looks like ass, bro. Still like we had the retest, but look, here's the good news. We had the retest, the pullback is still maintained. So as long, honestly, it does look like ass. Doesn't look like it has a trend of some sort, like a bullish trend. But as long as 195 is held, we could go up. Um, now, out of all the equities, like, why do you guys always like shill me stuff that is down or like on a down fucking trend? Why can't you guys one time, just one time, show me a chart that has bottom signals, like, you know, like, or it's on an uptrend? Like, I swear to God, that sometimes you guys just show me shit that you down so bad on. They're like, please give me some bullish news so I feel better. Um, yeah, I'll charge Zill. Yeah, we bid the red, but as well, you're bidding like a fucking downtrend, dog. Um, but yeah, no, Circle has a ton of bull divergences printing. But the RSI and the weekly can go lower. I don't. Yeah, I mean, you may catch a nice scalp out of it. To be honest, Zill. Yeah, this one, Zilliqa. I remember it so well. Fuck, I thought that, bro. Why, why are they hiding the real chart? This is the real chart, dog. I traded this shit over here. So fuck you guys. You guys were not here when I was here. I was dying. I was dying. They told me this was the fucking future, dog. But yeah, no, Zilliqa is actually probably a bid, bro. Not gonna lie. Like, this is the we're at literally the RSI lows with bull divergences printing. We are at the higher time frame lows. This was like COVID, like, bro, guys, remember I told you we're gonna see alts at COVID levels? This is an example right here. Zilliqa retraced back to its COVID lows. Like, forget the 1010 lows, dog. This motherfucker's trading at 2020 levels. This motherfucker still has the mask on. This motherfucker is still getting his vaccination. Take that in for a second. This coin is still getting the vaccine shot. That's the world it's living in right now. That's the price it's living right now. It's getting the vaccine shot, right? So that this is where we are with Zilliqa. But the good news is it actually has a ton of bull divergences printing on the weekly chart. Momentum is definitely slowed down. Let me see the outflows and whatnot. The Zilliqa, not bad open interest. Mm, I mean, I think this is a long. Others, okay. No, 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 no. Yeah, I mean, we're not at the COVID lows, but it does look like others could see a weak rally from here, bro. But no, Zilica actually looks pretty decent. Not gonna lie, Zilica actually looks pretty decent for a scalp. Your list. Mm. I keep this. Let's look at some alts, guys. Mm-mm. Let's see here. Give me a second. I'm just pulling on the watch list. Yep. Resolve. That one looks good. Up. Damn. Looks good. Lit looks good. Cake. They're criming it right now. They're doing BNB season. That's another thing. They're doing BNB season. Keep an eye. Watch out. Orca. This is Salt Eco. Really tight. Really, really tight. Pump Fun. No. No. Syrup looks pretty good. No. Damn. This showed up on the scanner about 3 hours ago. 1, 2. It was here. It is a ETH meme coin. You're pumping 4. This one does not look too bad. Litecoin. Fuck. Boys. If Litecoin give me a second. I need to smoke a cigarette. Give me a second. Now I'm scared. Litecoin's on the list. I love Litecoin. I wish it does well, but every time the motherfucker looks good, we got fucked. Alright. Fana, there's a ton of world divergences on this. hype hype might speaking of hype, um so we may get hype needs to actually move up really strong here with momentum. um so if we get a weekly close maybe next week above 72.5, we could see later on in July see hype print a bearish divergence on the weekly, which will start the pullback for it, which would make sense. Okay. Ape? No. Jito? No. Origin or fuck. That's a classic. Let's see here. Let me go back in 1 second. XTZ. Okay, I'll look into it. Let me keep Farcoin in here. Useless looks pretty good. Struggling on the 34 weekly. Zora looks good. Nope. Is it time for this? This was a new coin. Let's keep it. Jelly Jelly. Had its move. Okay. XTZ. Bro, Tezos? Tezos? Damn. Um, you may get a pullback to like here, the base, but yeah, it looks pretty cooked on momentum. XRP. Looks like it was gonna have a pullback to $1.10. But yeah, XRP might go back to $1.50. Uni. Yeah, it looks like it may have a pullback to $3, give or take, but yeah, it could build a move to like back to like $4, give or take. Let's see. What did it print for shorts? Mm, yeah. Jupe is more. I agree with home. Bill might be more of a long. See? Same with move. Yeah, this one cooked on as a short call. All right. All right. Give me a second here. Let me post this in the chat before I forget. Give me a second, guys. All right. Monad? Okay, I'll look at Monad. Give me a second. I mean, looks like it may have one more move up, but it's struggling on the daily. So if we can get a close above 2.2 cents on Monad, I think you'll be good for like a decent move. Um, Again, this is just for scalping, like intraday type move, all that type of shit. But yeah, it really depends. Again, all this stuff really depends on what BTC decides to do. If BTC continues the uptrend, and it really can, as I said, I'm more on the boat that it's going to go risk on. So you should long the pullback and take it from there. I don't think we are topping here. It'll be very strange if we do top here and we just keep going down for all of July or like the rest of the year. As I said, there's always going to be bearish rallies in between in bear markets, just like there's bullish pullbacks in bull markets, right? So that's part of it all. So in bear markets you get bearish rallies, in bull markets you get bullish pullbacks. So I'm more on the boat that we're going to see a bearish rally for BTC. So and right now BTC dominance is in a downtrend. So alts ultimately will outperform BTC. In terms of majors, Solana is again better looking than ETH and whatnot. So out of the top three, Solana is more of a long than BTC is, and ETH. Um, seems like people have slowly forgot about hype ever since on-chain has heated up. But hype, when you look at the 4 hour, it's really looking like it's going to go higher, right? How high? I don't know. The $75 resistance mark that I marked out is true, as you guys saw here with the double top. But this pullback that we saw here on hype is still maintaining the trend, is still maintaining the uptrend, holding it together smoothly and cleanly. And as I just showed you guys with the examples of the EMAs and whatnot, so we had here all the 13 EMAs. This is actually a perfect example I was just talking to you guys about. So look at this. Remember the soul chart I showed you on the daily? We kept testing the 13 EMA. This was the retest of the 21 right here. This was the 50 retest. And then we did the final leg up. And what happened after we retested the 50? We came down to the hundreds and the 200s, as you guys saw here. We did another leg move up, double top. We came back. We maintained the structure again. But here's the catch. I don't know how far we'll go from here, but I know that the pullback will probably, this is probably the final leg up for hype before we have a serious pullback on it. And again, on a much higher time frame, that serious pullback that we do get, if we do get it, is still going to be a bid for the long term, in my opinion. I'm still on the boat that Q4 and Q3 is going to be bearish, but I do think that end of the year will be the bottom, and we start accumulating and whatnot for the very long term. And yeah, we write it out for 2027 and 2028, right? So what you are bidding on, um, uh, this at the end of this year will be for like long-term bets, right? Like you want to hold it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and whatever the cycle is, right? So you want to allocate the majority of your port into BTC, ETH, Sol, Hype, whatever you believe in, right? You want, that's what you want to do. The other 30% or 25% or 20% that you want to keep, keep it in USDT to ride out the narratives that are going to be cooking uh, during that period of time. Whether you get like, okay, a fart coin type of meta, you want to bid that. You want to be catching that price action. If dog coins are running, you want to catch that price action. If cat coins are running, you want to catch that price action. If AI agent tokens are running, you want to catch that price action. So that's why you have that, 20 to 30% reserve in cash. So you can write out those narratives where you make a nice 10x to 100x or whatever it may be, and you keep it there and you keep compounding and you try to write out the narratives properly. So even if you catch one or two strong narratives during that those 2 years, they will make you a lot of money. Okay. Um, but yeah, I think uh, that's a lot of charting and whatnot. And I think now um, I'm close to ending the stream. Let me see here if there's anything else. Give me a second. What else can we look at? You know, look at this shit. They're still criming this shit. Can you believe that? Lab looks like it's gonna make a new all-time high. Um, but yeah. So before I end the stream, like usually I end the stream talking about like mindset and whatnot. Um, but I've never really talked to you guys about like the nervous system and what I've learned about it. So your nervous system typically responds to imagine situations in ways that resemble how it responds to real ones. Um, that's why what you visualize in your brain or worry about or anticipate can produce genuine physical effect. I like, for example, I know some of you guys like our parents can be not doing well or whatnot, or you cannot be doing well like health wise. Um, if you carry a lot of stress in your mind, it actually impacts your body, and that's been medically proven. But your mind is imagining that stress, so your nervous system doesn't really know the difference between every thought, every response to what it believes is important. So if you ever realize like you start thinking about stress, your heart rate kind of like goes up, or your stomach tightens up, or you panic, or you get anxiety, and or your palms get sweaty. Um, even though nothing has happened and you're just sitting on the couch, but your body is already reacting to what you're thinking about. So your brain, in a way, is really kind of like a prediction machine of some sort. And that's why it's really important to control your thoughts, because it controls to how it impacts your body and impacts your health. And that's where it really starts. I always talked about that, right? That your mind, what your thoughts are, impact your emotions, which will impact your decision making and your actions. And as a result, it'll even impact your health, right? So your brain isn't recording reality, it's predicting what might happen next. And sometimes those, predictions are useful, sometimes they're completely wrong. But your nervous system just prepares your body to what your brain thinks is coming. That's why like anticipation and all that stuff can be really feel really real when it's not. You can be just thinking about an outcome that's never going to happen, but you can put yourself in like you can put your body in stress. The other thing is, if you guys, I don't know if you guys realized, but majority of people rehearse how they handle failure more than they handle success. So you're always preparing your body and your nervous system to be a failure. You're always mentally replaying getting rejected or losing money, embarrassing yourself, failing at an interview, failing your business, making the wrong trade. All you're doing is rehearsing like one bad outcome over the other. And then you wonder why you're so anxious, right? Because you are literally practicing anxiety all fucking day. So it puts your body in that type of situation where it impacts your nervous system and you start feeling those type of things. And those type of things could not even be happening, but you mentally put yourself there, so your body is going to react to that, right? So the difference, that's the majority of the world, that's the majority of CT, that's the majority of traders, that's how they think. They're always preparing for the worst, but no one's really like, take a moment today and just sit down for like 10-30 minutes by yourself and just think of all the best things in the world that could happen for you, and see the difference in your mindset, in your mood, and how your body feels, how light it feels, how excited you get, and all that type of stuff, how motivated you get, how like you can't wait to go to work type of thing, right? So the difference, like I always like to study athletes, like because I'm a sports guy, but like athletes never prepared, like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, those type of athletes, they never prepared to themselves on how they would react if they lost a game. They've never imagined anything going wrong. They always imagined themselves staying calm, winning, making good decisions, and trusting their own process, following their own process, right? That's why they're always in the gym, practicing and practicing, right? They're mentally rehearsing their performance and how they're gonna win. That's the difference between an elite person and a normal person, right? And I know what you're thinking is like, oh, well, what do you do with fear? They never eliminated fear. Fear is actually um, important. It's actually part of life. And so is stress. Stress is part of life. But the goal is how will you react? How would you recover faster? You can notice that you're anxious without, like, can you notice, like, you have anxiety, but can you stop the anxiety from making your decisions. That's when you reach emotional maturity. And it's really important because right now there's going to be a shift in the world, where the people that are highly emotional intelligent will be the top performers, compared to the people that have the highest IQ, right? So you want to be putting yourself in a position where, despite being stressed, despite having fear, you're not going to let that control you on your next decision, right? That's just part of life. You're going to feel that all the time, but at the same time, you don't want that to be the drive or the reason you made that decision, right? So you need to understand that what you think impacts your body, impacts your nervous system. And controlling your nervous system is actually the second part of the equation to reaching the goals that you want to reach, right? And what you're not realizing is your body's always giving you data, it's always giving you information, right? Because just because you feel nervous, just because you feel scared, just because you feel stressed, doesn't mean you should stop. Doesn't even mean that you're in danger. They're not even instructions of any sort. Like a trader, I sometimes feel nervous before entering a trade, and it's not necessarily a bad trade, right? Um, and then someone like right now I'm streaming, just because let's say I was nervous before I started the stream, doesn't mean I wasn't prepared to stream, right? Like this long right here that I took, I was a little bit nervous about it, but I'm like, hold on, let me go back. I looked over the charts with my system, and I'm like, you know what? If I ignore all the noise, if I ignore all the bullshit, I would have, and I was in clean slate, I would be taking this long. So I took the long. So sometimes, even when you're under that mindset, under those conditions, you need to really push yourself to think clearly to make the best decision for you, right? So use that to improve yourself. You train um, your nervous system through repeated experience, just like how I told you. With this long that I took, it was through repeated experience that I noticed that it is a profitable trade, right? It isn't some type of magic, is because I went through my system. I went through my repeated experience, and in my repeated experience, this type of trade has worked out for me. So I ignored the noise, ignored the anxiety, ignored the nervousness and all that stuff, and I took it. So it's the same thing with you. If you ignore all these things and stop thinking about these things and start thinking about how you will keep improving and how your life will be 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year from now, you will be in a much better mindset. And that's what you need to think about long term, think about the future. It will calm yourself down. Like, my journey doesn't end now just because I made one bad trade. My journey doesn't end now just because I didn't put the ball in the basket, right? That's the most important part. The question is like, how isn't how do I stop feeling this? It's more like, can I act according to what I know, even while I feel this, right? And that puts you in a different mindset. That puts you in a different category, that even when your body or your mind is trying to doubt you, you still persevere and you push through it, right? So, what most people think, you have to, the only way to be courageous is when there's no fear. And in fact, it's the opposite. To be courageous, you need to be in a state of fear. Like, think about that for a moment. Every single war that has happened, you think the general did not have fear? Or every soldier did not have fear that went in? Everyone had fear. It's normal. But you can't be like, you can't be courageous if there's no fear. The whole concept of being courageous is that you are fighting against that very fear that you have. That's why they call you courageous, right? So your nervous system typically is trying to protect you and keep you in a safe spot that it knows, but you need to identify when it is protecting you from opportunities to grow just as much as it protects you from danger. Part of growing and becoming better is really knowing the difference between the two, and that's what would actually improve your trading. Is like literally, as I said to you guys in this perfect example, I had to go back and rewind and be like, I have taken this trade so many fucking times, and more than likely it has worked out for me. And that's when I took it. Everyone feels fear, nervousness, and all that stuff. It's more about how do you act in those type of things, in those type of scenarios, that makes the difference, right? Do you stay being a pussy and let fear and anxiety hold you back from potentially a better outcome in life? Or do you teach yourself something new, then your nervous system adjusts and your mindset adjusts and you become better? That's literally it. It's very, very simple. You just have to keep repeating the same shit over and over and over and over again till it finally fucking cooks and changes and becomes, something for you, right? Again, most people don't get it. They have a hard time getting it. And the majority of the world is always in a constant state of fear, is because, it's very easy to control people once they're always scared and all that type of stuff. But honestly, every single problem in your life, you have overcome it. You're still alive. And if you realize, like after 1010, let me ask you this. After 1010, how many of you stopped? Like, did your friend group change? No. Did the house you live in change? Are you homeless now? No. Do you still have your parents and your family? Yes. Are you still eating the same food? Yes. Are you still going out to the same places? Yes. No, so, despite 1010 happening, your life actually didn't change. What you do actually didn't change. You get what I mean? So we have typically always overcame every single problem in our life, and we grew out of it and we became better. So just because you've entered a problem doesn't mean you can't get out of it. You've beaten every single thing in your entire life and you're here today. So it really comes down to mindset, and then it starts off with the mindset, which controls your emotions and then controls your nervous system. But your nervous system is the last piece of the puzzle to actually manifesting and improving your life. Really, it's not good. It's one thing to imagine it, but it's another thing to actually feel it. You need to feel it. You need to believe it. And when you push comes to shove, you fucking push, and you keep going forward, and you keep going forward, and you keep going forward, and before you know it, you'll be a completely different person in a much better situation because you kept going. It's the ones that persevere and keep putting in effort for a long period of time that make it. And I'll give you an example of a friend of mine, real life friend of mine. He's not in crypto, he's not in trading, he's not in investing, none of that. But I'll give you an example of how this guy changed his life. So this guy is maybe 8 years older than me, so he's in his 40s. But I met him when he was like 33, and at 35, he started a new job, completely new job, completely new industry, never been in it before. He got into plumbing. He started as an apprentice plumber at 35. He took a risk. Today, in his 40s, early 40s, the guy owns 2 houses, like 5 cars. He has an amazing plumbing company. He's even on TV for those home reno plumbing companies, like TV shows that you see and all that type of stuff. How did he get there? One, he believed in himself, obviously, but after a certain period of time, you become known as the guy that does this, that he's good at this. This is his thing. After you surpass the first 2, 3 years of you being in a new business or a new job or whatever, that's what you become known for. The word of mouth grows, your reputation grows, your trust grows. So then your friend or your friend's friend and whatever, like, is looking for someone that's a plumber, they're gonna call, they'll be like, hey, I know this guy, he goes to my gym, he does this, he does that, and you're gonna give the contact. So it's the people that persevere, that keep putting in the effort and trust their own work, that actually make it over the long time. So yeah, you need to be very, very stubborn, very, like, stubborn in a good way, persistent, to actually make it as part of the formula. But you need to be kind of delusional about it too, in a good way. So this is how it all fucking connects. It's really, really not that hard. It's just that people really want to overcomplicate it, and believe me, your life and your mindset will be much cleaner if you just ignore the noise. Don't let anyone dictate how you should think. Don't let anyone dictate what you should do. My best advice is, don't take any advice. Just fucking do it. Don't even take my advice. Just fucking do it. Do what you have to do. That's literally the best fucking advice uh, I can give. Don't take any advice. Like, ironically. And I wish, by the way, I wish I knew all of this when I was in my 20s. I wish I knew I had the knowledge that I have today when I was in my, like, under 30, when I was like 24 to 28, whatever. I would have taken so much more fucking risk if I knew that. If the knowledge that I have today, I had it in my 20s, I would be a completely different person. So now I'm just telling you guys, there's actually nothing to be worried about. Really. Nothing ever happens. And if a nuclear bomb goes off, fuck it, a nuclear bomb goes off. But if they threaten with a nuclear bomb, you fucking bid. That's life. Because one way or another, you either come out big or you lose everything. But if you lose everything, that means the whole world lost everything. Right? So everything, I promise you, by the end of this year, we will have cleared the worst, and then we'll start 2027 in a much better way. We're near the end of the finish line of all this bullshit, and things are gonna be great again, guys. I feel it. I really feel it, that things will just get so much better once we clear all this bullshit out of the way. All right? So I'm gonna end the stream here. Again, thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't even be streaming, honestly. But yeah, let's have a great fucking week. And remember, I marked the levels. I'll probably post it in the chat if I can find it again for you guys. And we'll take it from there. All right? All right, guys. Take care. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, everyone.